Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelsey and thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I want to talk about bullet journaling. I have loved planning, like I love planners, for a long time. I've always loved the idea of a planner. Like I remember being, even in high school, probably even like junior high, and having a planner that I would like write things down in. And then college, I feel like I had one pretty frequently, and then I kind of got away from it for a while because I felt like I wasn't needing it. I don't know, it was like I was working, so that was kind of it. I wasn't trying to keep track of a ton of things. I had a work schedule and that was it. Maybe like 3 years ago or so, I started kind of getting back into planning, and I just liked the idea of planning. I think something that kind of sparked my interest was the Passion Planner. If you haven't heard of the Passion Planner, it's a planner, but it's kind of like based around your goals. So like at the beginning of the year, you fill out this whole form about like goals and like your plans for the year, things you're wanting to work on, your passions. And then you kind of like take those goals, break them down, and then make them work throughout the year so that you actually accomplish these goals by the end of the year. And I just really liked that idea. So I did use a Passion Planner for a little bit, and it was fine. And then I did end up using the Happy Planner for like 2 years probably, which the Happy Planner is just kind of like a planner, but they're really cute. You have like a month spread, and then at the beginning of the month you have like a little like page of reflection, kind of like things you're interested in this month, things you're focusing on, shows you're watching, books you're reading, all that kind of stuff, which is kind of fun. And then you have like a month spread, and then going from there you have like your weekly spread. And so you have like 2 pages for the week, and you've got some space to work. It is super customizable because you can add in like other pages. So you can add like note pages, you can add like all these different accessories they sell. So that one was really great. But like June of last year, I started bullet journaling. At first I was using my Happy Planner for work, and then bullet journal for like just myself and like things that I'm trying to keep track of. And my bullet journal, I kind of held it a little too dear. Like I was like afraid to really get into it and like use it because it felt so permanent and like I was having to do everything. And so it was kind of scary, but I loved it. So then maybe about like October-ish, I started just using my bullet journal. So I didn't use a Happy Planner anymore. I just used my bullet journal, and I really, really liked it. So I thought I would do a little like flip through of my 2018 bullet journal, and then kind of like some thoughts going into this next year. So this was my journal that I used last year. I got this off Amazon, and it's from Minimalism or something. Yeah. Minimalism Art, and it's kind of like this faux leather soft bound book or journal, whatever. It's nice. I like the inside that it's black, and then you've got like your pages. So something I never did last year was put in a key. I kept saying I was gonna add it, but I just couldn't. I thought I was gonna like settle in on a key that worked for me. So I kind of like highlighted things that I liked, and then but I never ended up adding it. Another thing I didn't really end up using was my index. I started to, but I felt like I didn't really need it that much, and so I kind of stopped using it. And then I left all these blank open pages because I was planning on, or I guess there's only 2 open pages there. Oh, that was supposed to be the rest of my index because I thought it was going to take up a ton of room. And then I had my spread, which I started in June. So then I had June, July, August, September, October, November, and then I put December down here. I was trying to fit 7 months on one page because I started like mid-year. And that was kind of helpful. And then here's another thing where I just never got around to it. So if you look into bullet journaling on Pinterest, it's kind of like an endless source of possibilities. And there's these things called like collections. And so that would be like any kind of like interests you have. You could do like places I want to travel, like books to read, like fitness goals, anything like that. And so I thought I was gonna like get back around to starting that. So I have 4 pages of blank pages there because I just never did. And then I jump into my monthly spread. And then, so this was for June. And this was a very simple look, but it was also something that was like super easy and like useful. So I have a little like small calendar up here, and then I kind of had some notes here. My sister and brother-in-law were visiting in June, and so I was like trying to write down a bunch of things that I wanted to do with them. And then at the bottom I had a little like check-in thing for my social media starting June 1st, because I was kind of like tracking my growth on things. And I did continue to do that throughout the rest of the year in my bullet journal, and I really liked that. The thing I didn't really keep up with was a to-do list. So I would put a to-do list at the, like in the monthly thing, and it just kind of like, I don't know, I never went back to it for some reason. Something that I did use often is this video ideas section. So at the beginning of every month, I would put a little spread spot that just said video ideas. And then I would take these little like notes and write down video ideas, put them in here. And then whenever I would go to schedule videos, I would take this and then put it on like the day that I was gonna do it, just in case if things changed, plans changed, I needed to switch some stuff around, I could just like move that instead of trying to like figure out a way to cover up my writing. And so I really liked that. I do that to this day. On this side here, I have my habit tracker. There wasn't like a ton of stuff I was wanting to track. I was tracking development. I was kind of like counting this as like personal development, whether it's reading or just like reflecting, biking to work, hitting my move goal on my Apple Watch, hitting my exercise goal on my Apple Watch, hydration, making sure I'm staying like hydrated with water, video published, and Instagram post. And so I did keep this habit tracker for quite a few months. I did like it. And then within the last few months, I kind of stopped using it. I think partially because I didn't like setting it up. Not so much that I didn't like it. It was just kind of like annoying to set up, and then I would kind of find myself not going back to it every day. And then I would get to a point where I'd be like a week out and I'd be like, oh, did I bike to work that day, or was that day? And did I drink enough water that day? I don't remember. And so I kind of stopped doing it. And then from there, I have my weekly spread. So this was kind of one of my favorite ways of laying it out last year. So I would just have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so this worked out good for me for a while. One of the things I do really like about the bullet journal is that you can kind of like stop, take breaks, and like add things. So like I had like 3 weeks worth of spread, and then I added like a notes page and then a YouTube goals page. And so then I could like go in and make notes and all that kind of stuff. And so I really liked that. Going into July, I wanted to add a little bit more like fun to my bullet journal, I guess. June was pretty simple. It was a lot of black, a little bit of pink. But July, I went in with some doodles. And so this was like my July page at the front. And this took way longer than I'm like even wanting to say. I probably spent like 2 hours on this, no joke. It took me so long. But I did think it was a really cute entrance to July. And then July, my spread changed a little bit. I went with a bigger calendar, but same idea, notes, video ideas, habit tracker. But I kind of kept the like daisies around throughout the month. And so I have a week here, a week here. That was pretty much, I mean, throughout the rest of the year, I kind of just like went through everything and just, you can see my September monthly spread. I used this a lot towards the end of the year. So like October, you can see I have a calendar, and then like I was wanting to create one goal and I left it empty. And like I had video ideas, but I kind of like gave up on like the tracker and like the cuteness of putting this together. And I kind of wish I didn't, but you never know. But this is where I kind of started adding like a bunch of more work stuff in. I would make notes all over the place. I used lots of like little note things in here for like to-do lists or anything like that. Then I've got to November, kind of same thing. I put this page together a little bit cleaner looking, but also like I don't have the habit tracker there anymore. Some weeks I just never got around to doing it, which is okay, I guess. I think I skipped a week when I was like in California too. I was just like, oh, I didn't make a spread. I'll just skip a week. And then December, this was just sad. And so getting towards the end of the year, I like wrote out my calendar, but nothing really else over here. I have some like video ideas here, but didn't really go into much. I left an open page. This is kind of where I decided to do Vlogmas, and so lots of my like Vlogmas ideas, kind of like putting together a schedule. And so that was super helpful. And that's pretty much the end. So towards the end, when like my December spread, where it was just like so sad, I was kind of like second guessing myself, and I was like, maybe I don't want to do bullet journaling anymore. I don't know if I'm really into it anymore. When I first started bullet journaling, I actually was leading a group that met on Thursday nights in different coffee shops around the city, and it was a bullet journaling group, and so we would like hang out for like an hour and a half or so and kind of like bullet journal. So since it was Thursday, it would kind of like, it made sense to set up your spread for the next week or maybe get like 2 weeks ahead. And it was like a really nice time to kind of like get caught up on things in here. If you don't set aside time for bullet journaling, it gets overwhelming and it feels like you can't do it. And so I really, really enjoyed that, and that ended like in September when my bullet journaling started going downhill a little bit. So after that group, like I said, my bullet journaling, it wasn't like a focus anymore, and it was hard to stay on top of it. And so I thought, maybe I'll just go back to the Happy Planner. Like I really liked that planner. I didn't have to work on it. I could just like open it up and like write things in. But then I watched one of my favorite YouTubers. Her name is Amanda Rach Lee, or like that's her username here on YouTube. And her name's Amanda. She lives in Canada, and she does bullet journaling. That's pretty much what all of her channel is like bullet journaling and like maybe some doodling, and sometimes she has like some handwriting stuff. And I love her content because it's really fun, but it's also kind of simple. A few weeks ago, she put out her 2019 bullet journal like setup video, and at this point I was probably like days away from buying a Happy Planner. Like I had even seen them in stores and was like, oh yeah, I need to get one of these. And then I saw her video and I was like, I need a bullet journal. I need it in my life. And I love it. So I bought another bullet journal. This one, I mean, I didn't necessarily have to, but I only had like 6 months worth of bullet journaling in here, and I used more than half of my notebook. I used this much, and I have this much left. So I used a big chunk of my notebook. So I figured I should just get a new notebook, start new for the year. I'll probably use this entire thing this year. I ended up going with the one that's really popular. I have no idea how to say it. The Lichterm 1917. It's like a German brand, but they're really popular. And so I started putting together my bullet journal. Essentially, I copied Amanda's 2019 setup. So this is kind of what I have so far. I finally settled in on a key. I just needed to do it. This journal does have an index. We'll see if I use it. I'm just leaving it blank right now. And then I've got a little Hello 2019, Year at a Glance. And then something that I thought was super interesting that she did, and she said that she adds this to all of her bullet journals now, is like a grid cheat sheet. That's such a good idea. Because I always second guess myself when I'm trying to like split up my page. And so you just kind of like figure some stuff out and put it on a sheet. And that's so brilliant. And then a little quote. This is the beginning of anything you want. I love that. And then it goes into like your kind of like monthly look out, I guess. I have 6 months per 2 pages. And then I also added a places I went and things to check out and like what it is and like who recommended it. And then I have my 2019 goals, which I have not filled out yet. And then from there, I still need to like figure things out. I'm gonna add a cover page for January. And then I started my January spread yesterday, which was the first, but I need to kind of do a little bit more work on that. Obviously, it is very blank. And then I want to add just like a blank sheet to just kind of have like notes or something. And then on this page, I do want to get back into some habit tracking. And so I'm gonna set that up on this page. And then this is my first weekly spread in my new bullet journal. This layout is super simple. I just like quartered off each of the pages, put the number of the date, the day, and we'll work through it. I have started my bullet journal for the year and I'm so happy. I am also starting my bullet journal group again. I'm so excited. It's not necessarily just a bullet journaling group this time. I'm gonna be calling it Productivity Together. So if anyone wants to come and like they have a project they need to finish, or like they just have like a hobby that they like to work on but they kind of need to like carve out some time for it, then this would be like the time for them. And so I'm really excited to get back to that and get back into like the routine and the habit of doing my bullet journal. But I thought that I would share with you a few like pros and cons for bullet journaling. Now that I've done it for like 7 months, I feel like I have a little bit of an insight into kind of the thought behind it. So I wrote down a few things in my old bullet journal. I said it's so much work, which it is. I've already touched on this. It's hard if you don't carve time out for it, but it is extremely rewarding. I am like the kind of person that I love having like a creative outlet. So whether that's bullet journaling or like crocheting or just anything kind of creative. I mean, YouTube, makeup, I just like creating things. And so it's just another outlet for me to like feel productive and like kind of like center myself. And so, but it's a lot of work. So you got to carve out some time. And I guess I already said this, but creative outlet. And something that I found was, like I said, if I was setting time aside for it, it felt like a creative outlet. But if I was just trying to like get by like towards the end of the year when I was just like, oh, I need to throw this together really quick, it felt like a task and less like a creative source. It was just like, oh, I need to get this done. It was like another thing on my to-do list. Another thing I found is that creativity can be simple. And so I love simplicity in bullet journaling. The start of my 2019 is probably the most like stuff I'll ever do for a bullet journal. Like I'm not one that's gonna like take a whole page and like do a fancy little sketch on it. That's just not me. I don't really have time for that. But it's the simplicity of like drawing lines and like working things out. I don't know. It's just creativity can be simple. It can be abstract. It can be so many things. You just have to find out what works for you. And then another thing that I wanted to touch on was habit tracking. And so I kind of mentioned this as well, is that I liked the idea of habit tracking and I want to get back into it, but you have to stay on top of it. Like you really gotta do it often, or like do it every day. Look at your habit tracker, figure out what you're doing, or else you forget. Like I said earlier, like in the summer, I wanted to ride my bike to work at least like 2 or 3 times a week. And it was like, oh, did I ride my bike that day? Or was that day? I don't remember. Did I do it twice this week? Or was that only once? And so you just kind of have to stay on top of it. But it is very interesting information to look at later. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on is the balance of perfection and useful. I am definitely the kind of person that like, I want everything to look perfect. Like that was when I first started my bullet journal. It was so hard for me to just take the initial like dive into my bullet journal because I was like, what do I do? I need it to be perfect. But I'm like that with everything. Like if I'm crocheting something, which I love crocheting, but like if I'm crocheting something and I mess up and I notice it later, I'm the person that's gonna tear it all out and then redo everything because I want it to look perfect. I was afraid to make my bullet journal not perfect. But the thing that I did find was when I was allowing myself to not make it look perfect is when it was actually useful. So when I started using it for both work and personal, it was like I had lists all over the place because that's how I am with work, but it was actually useful and I carried it with me everywhere. I had it in my purse all the time and I could like reference it and look through it. And that's when it really became useful and like good. And so I don't know, but I really enjoyed bullet journaling these last like 7 months and I am looking forward to it so much this year. If you bullet journal, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave your tips down below. I am loving it. I love it as a creative outlet. I love it as a centering like time to my week. Even in the morning, if I just like look at my bullet journal and kind of like think of things that need to get done, it's nice. I just wanted to talk bullet journal, pros, cons, show you my 2018, looking forward to 2019, but yeah. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already. I would love to have you around, and until next time, bye guys.